Thank you for listening to the Real and Raw podcast. For more information, you can find us at inspiringhope.org.au or join the mailing list. Journey with us as we aim to inspire the hope of Jesus from generation to generation. We are praying for you. Have a blessed day.
Well, good morning. Welcome to Real and Raw. My name's Jeanette and this is my friend Jess, or Jessica if you're in trouble.
Yes.
So Jen and Jess, or Jeanette and Jessica, depending, But we call each other just the short.
Us.
Yeah, you should call each other the short version. And we are here in Goulburn. Goulburn is in New South Wales, Australia. You can look it up. It's a little country town and it is the most beautiful. We're in Jess's home. We're just beautiful and cozy. We've got the fire. We've got our cuppa, short for cup of tea. And we've got our little throw rugs. It's a winter's day outside though, isn't it? It is.
It's chilly.
It's
and
chilly
drizzly.
and drizzly and foggy and all the winter things. And I noticed actually driving down here, you guys have a lot of like deciduous trees.
Oh,
Like there's lots of trees that lose their leaves, whereas where I live, we've got like 3. So, because I'm like right up in a mountain with all the eucalyptus and thousands of trees. And so I really notice like that winter is upon us.
That is a good point. Goulburn is definitely full. Autumn is stunning because everything starts to go orange and red. And it
really
is,
pretty.
A lot of deciduous trees.
Yeah, well, there you go. Now you know if you didn't know before. We are going to keep talking. We've just had a beautiful conversation. But our next little topic we're going to talk on is by faith, not blind faith. Something we are both very passionate about. I think people love to use the term blind faith, but we serve a living, powerful God that we can have a relationship with, and He is not blind. He is not knowing what is going on with us. As you were explaining last segment, He has put all our desires, all our intricacies, is that a word? You know the word I mean. All of that is so unique within us. And that is not blind. It's purposeful. And I like to use the terminology, faith is the currency of heaven. That is what God values in us. And as you know, Jess, we talk a lot. I have been reflecting on Psalm 46:10 particularly, and that was the verse God gave me to speak over Inspiring Hope this year, and that is, be still and know that I am God. And I have been thinking a lot about stillness. That's another topic we're going to do, but we're not going to get to that today. But stillness, I have learned, is something that I have to learn. It doesn't come naturally in 2025, What was that little quote you had? Busy is a badge.
Busyness is a badge. Yeah,
busyness is a badge
of honour.
A badge of honour. And I've definitely fallen into that. I can put my hand up and say I've definitely been guilty of that, particularly when maybe I haven't been walking by faith, actually, and I felt the need to prove myself, or going through a little bit of hardship and feeling a bit unwanted. My natural inclination is to go and be busy, so that I can feel needed. But my God tells me, that He loves me, regardless of how much I've got going on or don't have going on. And I have really had to learn to be still. And I've really had to challenge myself in faith that, do I know God? Am I believing what He has spoken to me in the place of not yet? I keep getting it wrong.
No, that's good.
The place of not yet.
The not yet.
The
many
place
whats.
of the not yet. The place of the many yachts.
Many what?
Not many.
Maybe there's
knots.
many yachts. They could maybe. Play some
a big yacht, actually. We just bought a boat, this really dingy, cheap boat. We saved all our pennies for a year and a half, and we bought this boat. And hopefully it lasts. But maybe I'm going to get a big yacht in heaven or something. But, going back to being still and knowing, one thing I've had to challenge myself this year is I have really enjoyed my prayer time and my meditation time with the Lord, and the things He has shown me that are coming, that He is building in me. And what He's asking me, though, is to know that He is going to do those things. And the way that I know is I have to have faith. And that can be tricky. And you and I talk on Marco. I always Marco you every Tuesday morning on my way to the Inspiring Hope office.
Yeah.
And then you respond. And a few weeks ago, we had this, we weren't going to do this segment, actually. We were going to do something else today. And we had this amazing Marco, and you were just sharing about faith, actually, in some of the circumstances that were happening in your world. And I just remember, I just felt so close to the Holy Spirit in that conversation. And I remember I was planning to go home, and I thought, I've got to drive around. I've got to listen to the rest of what Jess is saying. And as I was driving around, the Holy Spirit just spoke to me so powerfully, and He gave me that, Jeanette, it's not blind faith. I am in every circumstance. I am working all things to good, but you are sending yourself into a tizzy because you're not doing this by faith. You're having the blind faith, and you are not choosing to know that I am God. And then I responded to that, Marco, and I remember you said, Jeanette, I had to take a few days to respond because it was, emotional. And it was just such a beautiful conversation. So I would love you to just share about faith now. And, for all you girls at home, all you girls watching, I think the heart behind this for us is that we don't want you to be walking blindly in your circumstances, because you can be still and know that there is a God who loves you and He's working things through for you. And I think that's also why that conversation was so powerful, because we all need girls to lift us up on occasion. We all need girls to remind us that faith is the currency of heaven, and that God is with us and He is hearing us and He is working through us. But knowing, I guess another word for knowing is that it's a choice, right? And choosing to walk in faith is a choice. So can you maybe speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. My head is spinning with all the things that you've been speaking about, because it's so exciting to share concepts that I feel just give people a new jumping off point. And something that we've all been taught is when it comes to faith, we have a faith in God. That is the common language of our Western Christianity. And the interesting thing is that when you start looking into the ancient Hebrew translation of the words faith, it actually means to support God, which is very different to, it's that challenge of, instead of having faith that God will, it's actually faith is about, I will do everything I can in all of my power to support the will of God. So that action of faith in support of God, because people go, but God doesn't need support. Well, actually, He designed us to be a partnership with Him, That is our
answering my question
design.
before I ask it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing is that, God doesn't need our support,
Yeah.
but he's designed us to be one. We are one with him. We're supposed to be one with him. And it says that in the last, when we were speaking in the last episode, talking about the translation of the word know, it's to be one. So be still and know. You have to be one with God. So God has designed us to be part of him. He's designed this world to be a very human participation space. That's what this world is.
Yes.
And he has designed us to be partners with him. And he wants to give us the power and the authority to make stuff happen in this world in partnership with God, not on our own. Interestingly, the Bible verse that comes to mind, I don't have the quote. I'm sorry, Jen, you might have to put that in the comments, or if you know it. It's when it talks about how people come, at the end of days, they go to God and say, Lord, Lord, I cast out demons in your name. I rose people from the dead.
Yeah.
And you say, get away from me. I don't know you.
I don't know you.
If you break that, it's a popular verse. It's a very fearful verse. But the concept of that is that these people, like, if you think about what they're just saying, they rose people from the dead. They cast out devils and demons. These are powerful human beings. And they are operating in what looks like Christianity. And then God says, you don't know me. What he's saying is, you weren't one with me. You didn't know my will for this. You acted in what you thought needed to happen. You acted in your idea of casting that devil out you didn't need me for that. You weren't one with me. You didn't partner with me. You weren't operating in your design to be one with me. And the thing is that, like that saying of blind faith, you actually can't have faith if you don't have a vision.
Yes.
So faith is actually impossible. If you want to look at the true essence of the meaning of faith, to support the will of God means you have to know the will of God. That means you have to spend time living in your Adam function of being in the mem, seeing the vision, building the vision, and then walking on that path.
Yes.
There is another word called Torah that is used all the time in the Bible. You might know that the word Torah means the first 5 books of the Bible, the written law. But later on in Hebrews and in Romans, it talks about how there are 2 Torahs. There's the written Torah, but then there's the spoken Torah. And Jesus, he is about the spoken Torah and trying to show us that the written Torah, the written Torah is about showing us how we can't actually achieve it.
Yeah.
The spoken Torah is about how we're supposed to live in spirit.
Yes.
And then the concept of Torah is about hearing the voice from the teacher, like how an arrow is aimed and drawn. And then the teacher is the one that directs the arrow. And then you, as the arrow, you take the path.
Yeah.
The outcome is hitting the mark. Interestingly enough, in Hebrew, the word sin is translated to missing the mark. So it's misunderstanding the voice of God, misunderstanding the instruction, misunderstanding the will,
missing the mark.
missing the law. And so the law, the spoken word, the Torah, that is your direction for where you're supposed to go. So you can't actually go anywhere in faith unless you've heard the voice, unless you know the vision.
I love just what you were saying about missing the mark. And, I haven't studied Hebrew, and my brother used to say about my mum, she has a very simple faith. And whilst I have done Bible college and read all those things, I am definitely a woman of very simple faith. But I have a huge love for the Lord. And one of the things that has caused me much disruption and a lot of pain in my journey on planet Earth with the Lord is missing the mark. And I think when we use the word sin, sometimes we think of all those big things like killing someone or, you know, something really extreme.
Yeah, the bad things, bad behaviour.
The bad behaviour. But my bad behaviour, my missing the mark has not been having faith. And that is going back to that verse, you know, being still. Being one with the Lord, listening to the living voice of God. What does it require? It requires you to be still. And one of the next topics we're going to do is probably not so much a teaching one, but a real practical one on how us as women, how us as mums and daughters and wives, how do we be still in 2025? Because, okay, Jess, this is great, but again, practically. And for this conversation, practically being still means knowing, means being one, means choosing to have faith. And it's interesting because when you were talking last episode about hearing and seeing in the not yet realm, it's quite tricky though, isn't it, to have faith that that's going to come to pass, especially if it's something that's caused you pain or you've been waiting for a long time, or it's about someone that you love who is a prodigal or way off. It can be really, really difficult to know that God is going to come through. So can you, how do you do that? How do you choose? How do you choose?
Well, I think the choice is, first of all, putting value on what you see with God, because without valuing it, you've got nothing. And I think that is actually a life's work. That is not something that you can just do overnight in one session with God. I think that we're supposed to be learners and we're not supposed to graduate. We're not graduating disciples. We're disciples. It's part of the human experience to continue learning.
Write that down, everyone.
Write it down.
Graduating. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we all kind of esteem ourselves on, how much we know, how much we've done. I'm sorry, but I've spent a lot of time with God, and I'm not raising people from the dead. Like Jesus rose himself from the dead, and he's told us we're going on to do greater things than that. Well, my shadow doesn't magically heal people, but Jesus was able to do that. And the example of the way that Jesus lived was to go up into the mountain, be very alone with God, and envision and envision and envision. And that involves making mistakes. That involves seeing stuff and getting a word and then believing that it's valuable and acting on it and moving with it.
Yes.
The thing is that I love the question, where is your hope? Where does your hope lie? Because often our hope is in heaven after we die. Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is here. We're not supposed to be qualified by death. We're qualified by Jesus.
Yes.
And he says that heaven is here. And he accessed heaven through his life and demonstrated this is how you be. This is how you operate.
On earth.
On earth as it is in heaven. Well, you can't do that unless you know what's going on in heaven. So God designed us this way, and that's what this gate is in the middle of our being. This gate is our ability. It's a portal almost, to go in to the MEM, spend time visioning what is going on for you, what is going on for other people. So if I really wanted to care about your healing if you were unwell, Jen, and a good example would be I would imagine seeing the face of God. I would take you and imagine you being with God and me. We would be almost like standing as a trio together. I would then follow God through the gate into the MEM. And I would just start asking questions. God, what's going on for Jen? What can I pray for her? Where is her illness? What are her beliefs? What are her limitations? What's going on for her in her world right now? Then I have to then move into an uncomfortable thing where you start believing the words that come up for you. And it's uncomfortable because we're taught to not trust ourselves.
Yeah, wow.
We're taught that we're not worthy of that because we haven't we haven't had our quiet time today. So how dare I pray for Jeanette's healing? I haven't read the Bible today. I haven't been to church for 4 weeks. Yeah. So how dare I? But God, Jesus is like, this is who you're designed to be. You don't need those things to, actually, you've got to be in your function just by accepting that that's who you are.
Yeah.
And that's what grace is. Grace is going, I am in this inner protected circle that I am me. I am.
Yeah.
Just like God says, I am. Well, we're a reflection of him. We're a face of him.
Yeah.
We are too.
Yeah. Wow.
And we have to put value on our being.
And knowing from what you're just saying is believing. And why is it so? Because I can just see those times where I have cried out to the Lord. You know, there's a lot of turmoil on the earth at the moment. There's a lot of darkness. You know, we both love people. You know, I talk to people that they've got real hardship in their life. And why is it though that when I go to the Lord and he encourages me and he brings up those words, why is believing? Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard? Have you found it hard?
Definitely. Yeah. I find it hard all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's what is the beautiful part of our imperfection, is that we only have to have faith as small as a mustard seed to move a mountain. And that story is a really good example of just the disciples' journey through this as well. Like, these guys walked with literally the living voice of God was walking, Emmanuel, God with us. Like, Jesus was walking, he was talking, and they were right there, and they still had little faith. And Jesus, you know, if you have a look at that story in Matthew, Jesus went up into the mountain to pray. Then he came down and then he preached, he spoke, miracles happened, things changed. That is always the pattern.
Yeah.
And then he said to his disciples, get in the boat, we're going over the lake.
Yeah.
And so the disciples got in the boat, Jesus was in the boat, they were heading over, and then a storm came. The disciples knew they were going with God over the lake to the other destination. They knew that they were literally with Jesus, with God on the boat, and they felt fear and dread for their lives as the storm came. Because they're looking around at their reality going, this is a storm. I know this. I know what this is. We're going to drown. Jesus, who was asleep and in full rest, they came to him and they said, Jesus, save us. And he calmed the storm. But then his line was, you have little faith. You who have faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. What he's saying is that you had a vision of where we were going. You knew where we were going. You heard the instruction. You knew the path, and you didn't hold the vision. And that is your weapon against the storm.
That is your weapon against the storm. And you're looking at the reality, because this is what I've learnt in answering my own question. Jeanette, stop looking at the reality.
Yeah.
You are in a relationship with the creator of the universe, who has infinite knowledge, who has infinite wisdom, who has infinite understanding, as it talks about in Proverbs, who has infinite resources. And you're choosing to believe what you think is the reality, because that's not actually the reality. So the storm is not the reality. The reality is that, yes, there are clouds and there is rain, but what happens with all storms? they finish, they pass.
Yeah.
The sun comes out, the fog moves, and you can then see the greater horizon. And that for me is faith. Choosing not to believe in the reality that I think is reality, but choosing to believe in my personal walk with the Lord and being in conversation with him.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I choose that, because it's really faith is not blind where we started. It's by faith, and by faith is choosing. And being still is choosing. What happens when you be still and you go wherever you sit in your beautiful house to just be still and hear the living voice of God? What happens? Well, I can answer the question for you. You get clarity.
Yeah.
You get peace. You get a way forward. I don't know, just a practical thing. And I'll just use ministry as an example. I don't know how many times over the years in Inspiring Hope when we haven't known what to do. You know, surprise, surprise, we don't most of the time.
What do you mean?
One of them will come to me and be like, what do you want us to do here? And in my mind, I'm like, I don't know, I've got no idea.
I've got nothing.
Just make something up, you know, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
But then there's been times where things have been serious and people are going through deep circumstances, or we have deep circumstances going on. And I don't know how many times we've sat down and prayed and taken the time to hear the living voice of God. And all of a sudden, it's not always me, just because I'm the leader doesn't mean that's an interesting thing, because God has spoken through to all the different members of our Inspiring Hope family actually over the years. And someone will be like, oh, as we were praying, I just felt the Lord say,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's also like, it's a culturally, people who speak up and say that, it's uncomfortable sometimes. And I think the giving people permission to have that thought, have that feeling, and giving them value, that is very different also to a leader with a vision as well. Because if a leader has a vision, and you're on the path, and then if someone comes in with something that's different to that, we can still value that,
Of course.
and make space for that, and give them full permission to take what is going on for them. And really, you don't have to tell them anything. You don't have to be an expert on any answers for them. You just get to be a guide for them and a facilitator of what they're doing, and give them more questions to help them go back and spend more time with God and to grow that vision and to keep growing. Because if you've got someone saying, the Lord spoke to me, you've got someone who's trying very hard to be in tune with God and to hear that voice. And you don't want to shame them or embarrass them if their vision is different to yours, or if they've come in with a different idea. I think some of our biggest mistakes as leaders is to just go, well, that's not in line with my vision.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Yes.
Whereas really, you've got someone who's trying to open up and trying to be a listener and a learner. What a wonderful asset to have, and to welcome them in and to go, hey, let's ask more questions here. What do you think the essence of that vision was about? What do you think that feeling was for you? And really getting them to go back and take that and keep building on it, keep growing and learning on that.
You know, I've got this really good story to maybe finish this segment with. Well, it's not a story actually, it's a testimony, because founding a ministry, you know, I think we're turning 14. We had a bit of a mix-up of years, so we've had to go back a year.
Because
technically we were older than we were not. So I don't know.
I do that all the time.
There's that dizziness
my own
coming out
age.
again. Yeah. Well, yeah. When you get to my age, oh no, don't tap the microphone. You want to be in denial. But this was actually a mistake. But you know, many years ago, I was sitting with the Lord, and because, you know, be stilling being still and knowing that God is God, there's the faith aspect, but there's also the obedience aspect. And this can maybe be a segue into our next little chats with Jen and Jess on the couch with a cuppa. See how many C's we can get in there. And I was just sitting quietly with the Lord, and he spoke to me very clearly, and he said, Jeanette, your entrustment is the founder. Okay, so I have given you inspiring hope. Your job is to gatekeep it. Your job is to lead it. Your job is to not allow vision blur, because that is a big thing as a leader.
Absolutely.
Because whilst people hear things and want to do things, depending on where they are with their walk with the Lord, vision blur can come in. And your job is to hear from me. These are your jobs. There's many more. But what is also your job is to make sure that you are being still, you are knowing that I am God, you are hearing the living voice of the living God, and you are walking by faith and not blind faith. So for people like us, I mean, I would say like 85% of my job now is to make sure I'm hearing from God.
Absolutely.
Yeah, inspiring hope is way bigger than I can manage myself now. There's lots of people moving lots of different paths. Am I hearing from him? And the other thing he said, and this is the crux of my story, is, Jeanette, you're going to have to get very, very secure, because I'm going to bring people around you, and you would be one of these people. And Annabelle's sitting on the couch. She's a lot younger than me, but very impressive young lady. And when I use the word impressive, you're both very impressive in your walks with the Lord, right? Now you're sitting here teaching things that had no idea about. You taught them to me. And here I am interviewing you. And I'm the reason I'm doing this as the first one is I'm actually trying to make a point. Here comes the Holy Spirit and weaves the whole thing together. And the point is that whilst I might be the founder of something, I am not all-knowing of anything. And the older I get, the humbler I become, because I realize how much I don't know. And God said to me, Jeanette, you will be like the mother hen, and I'm going to bring people to you who are far more gifted, who are far more talented than you, and your job is to release them and to lead them and to help them with their entrustment. Because if you are walking by blind faith and not by faith, what's going to happen is you're going to get very insecure, and you were using that word for sin. Insecurity is actually a sin. It's quite serious. And what you're going to do, like the Pharisees, you're going to want to do all this thing, and you're going to want to puff yourself up, and you're going to have this need to always be out the front and always be seen and heard. And then all this, first of all, you're not going to get the blessing because you can't hear it, and you're not going to be able to walk in it. And those who are walking alongside you are not going to be able to get their blessing, and will probably end up moving on because you are not able to allow them to be released in all that God has for them. Absolutely. So it's very, very tricky, because you've got to maintain a vision and lead well, but you've got to allow other people to hear the living voice of God and to walk in that.
Oh, it actually becomes your foundation. Yeah. Because really, when you are faced, I call it spiritual anxiety. Yeah. When you hear of someone else going on and doing these amazing things, and then you start to then go, like you're comparing and you're going, I'm not doing that, I want that, and you get jealous and you get, or you feel insecure that you're not going in the same direction, or you're not doing as well as them. But that, I know better nowadays, and I know that actually I just really need to just go inwards, stop looking left and right, go inwards and go, what am I doing? Where am I going? What is the vision? What is the other side of the lake for my life right now? Yeah. What are the storms that are rising up, stopping me from getting there? And how do I hold that vision and continue on the path And that's where faith comes in, because faith is that holding the arms up. You're working together with God, you're supporting the will, and the will is calming the storm, but knowing that that's a storm because you are so sure of the vision. If you don't know that that's a vision, then that storm, you might go, oh, that's just a door closing. That's just a door closing on this idea. So I'll turn around, go back. We must have gone the wrong way. But actually, that's the storm that's testing your faith, not a storm that's closing the door. And if you don't know the vision, you are constantly just wandering blindly, aimlessly. So this whole journey of Jesus on earth and his ministry, it is the most common theme. This is a faith journey. The human experience is a lesson in faith. And everything else, seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you. That's overflow. That's just the outcome of you walking. Just like hitting the target in that arrow demonstration, hitting the target is the outcome of you staying the path and knowing, just knowing what it is, being one with that, supporting that, and being that obedient walker of the path, that obedient disciple. Again, that obedient learner. So you can, the disciples weren't fired, the learners weren't fired when they were scared of the storm. He said, this is the next level of faith for you. This
is the next level of faith. And I'm looking forward to our next little chat. I think we're going to move on to obedience. We'll add another little element into it.
Sure.
But for those of you who have heard this, I just have a little bit of a challenge. Well, we have a challenge for you as you end. I really encourage you to have a go, because this is sort of like a 2-part series of just hearing the living voice of God, and just with the first thing, that you hear in that space. And if you can't remember that, go back. Jess gives you the details of how to do that in the first little episode here. And I want you to practice believing that first thing that he says to you. Just start really, really small. Just spend some time hearing from him. So that means that's the be still of Psalm 46:10. Spend some time being still, hearing the living voice of God, and then knowing, believing it. And let's see what God does, and if you feel comfortable, write to us, write to Jen and Jess, or Jeanette and Jessica. If you like formal, my neck just cracked. Write to us and tell us what God is doing in your life. We would love to hear those testimonies. So what a wonderful time we've had on the green couches.
It's great, yes.
And the warm blankets. And I love you so much, my friend. Thank you for these 2 little chats, and we truly pray that God blesses you. Amen.
We strive to inspire the hope of Jesus by building girls up generation to generation. Our hope is that you are inspired wherever you are in your walk with the Lord and in your life through this content. For additional information, you can find us at inspiringhope.org.au. We pray that you are blessed and encouraged by the Real and Broad podcast hosted by Jeanette Nolan.